So let's talk about Louis Theroux's documentary Inside the Manosphere. So first off, few minutes into the documentary, there was something I noticed. I noticed that the documentary is not for everyone. And just like every content, the documentary was channeled to women, especially when you look at the commentary on how the documentary started. You start hearing words and some sentences that describes the manosphere as something evil, or like a cult where men sit down and decide how to make the life of women irritable and insensitive. And it looks strange because if you're doing something about the manosphere, who should the documentary be for? The documentary should be for men, right? But reverse is the case. Another comment that is being popularly talked about on social media is Manosphere prey on young men. From a guy that lost his father at the age of 3 and had to discover almost everything he needs to know about women from the internet. That idea is false. The moment I attained puberty and I felt it was time to start dating, my mom was there, but I wasn't interested in learning dating from my mom. And that's just the way it is for men. Men prefer to learn success and dating from their fellow men. I don't know how it is for women, but that is the way it is for men. And the manosphere simply exposes the truth when it comes to dating. So let's talk about this idea that the manosphere is there to promote this fuckboy mentality. You could depict this by looking at the guys that Louis Theroux interviewed in the documentary. People like Myron, they don't have a good reputation. They speak in an aggressive way. They feel women are, little and they have no understanding. In fact, it has gotten worse to the extent that he has been removed from YouTube. And when I mean removed, it means that, he doesn't make money or earn any source of income from his videos. There are other guys there, but because I don't watch that type of manosphere, I don't know their names and I don't really care. So the idea that manosphere is filled with fuck boys, guys who speak rudely, who feel like the best way you can attract a woman is by throwing insults and making her feel less of a woman, is what works, is utterly wrong. I feel like to make this really balanced and to get good idea about what the manosphere really stands for, somebody like Louis Theroux should have interviewed men that really stood, that really understand what the manosphere is about. If Kevin Samuel was alive, I would have loved to have gotten an interview from Kevin Samuel as regards this topic. Now let's look at the part where Louis Theroux was interviewing Myron and his girlfriend Angie came into the picture. Louis Theroux brought the idea of cheating, whether it's okay to have a girlfriend and to go cheat. One of the things Myron said that I was disappointed in was that it is absolutely okay to maybe be in a relationship or be married and to go outside to go cheat because you are the man. I've always heard this in the manosphere that it is not okay for a woman to cheat, but it's absolutely okay for a man to cheat. And I'm not part of this. I will never be part of any rule that applies to a woman but does not apply to a man. I felt irritated the fact that Myron had this idea and he doesn't see it as a big deal. And to make things worse, his girlfriend, Angie, didn't see anything bad. I don't know whether she was just agreeing to what he was saying because they were in front of the camera, or she was just agreeing to what they were saying because she and Myron had already discussed about it and she doesn't feel it was a big deal. This is a no-no. So somewhere in the documentary again, there was this part where this guy was having a chat with Louis Theroux and his wife. And he was talking about, how he brings different women into the four walls of his bedroom just to spice things up in their marriage. To be candid, whatever you do in the four walls of your bedroom as a married man or as a married couple is none of our business. I don't see any reason why you would bring such type of content or discussions for people to hear and talk about. It's like you're bringing your private affairs for people to give their opinions. And the idea that this is only through the confines of a woman that is married to a Manosphere guy is wrong. Because if you look at it, there are so many marriages that bring the third party into the picture. And these women or men are neither feminist or Manosphere guys. They are regular people. So there is nothing like because I'm from the Manosphere, for that reason, I should be able to bring any woman and sleep with her while my wife watches or have a threesome is utterly false. In fact, it is the opposite. Things like this should never happen in the confines of your marriage if you truly believe in Manosphere. Because once you start things like this and you as the man at some point you've gotten tired, you've gotten stuck, you want to stop, your wife would not want to stop. And what happens again when you bring a guy that knows how to smash than you and he sleeps with your wife right in your presence, and because of that your wife is now interested in him than in you, and at some point you guys' marriage breaks down? What happens then? So the idea that threesomes only happen in marriages where the men are from the Manosphere is absolutely wrong. In general, the documentary is not a good one. It was meant for women. It wasn't really meant for men. And this idea that it was inside the Manosphere, the fact that you interviewed 3 or 4 guys or few guys in a documentary talking about a particular topic and you even interviewed the extreme guys does not mean you are speaking for the whole people in the Manosphere. I know this topic is strange. I know this is not the usual thing I talk about on the channel, but I just felt I should give my 2 cents on this topic. Like this video if it was really interesting. Also subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing. And watch any of this video on the right or left, and I'll see you guys in the next one.